The new Running Man movie just came out, and I've seen a lot of people aren't loving it. It hasn't been getting the standard Edgar Wright glaze. A lot of people have been saying that it's just not amazing. I haven't really seen anyone call it like outright bad or anything, because it's not. We're not talking about like a War of the Worlds level catastrophe here of a film or anything. Most people are just saying that it's kind of underwhelming and mid. And I've just now watched it, so I'm here to tell you definitively that's kind of right. It's far from a bad film. It's just a very standard one. Like, it's very generic. It's an action film that has some very good action sequences, but it has quite a lot of problems. And if you are someone that's a big fan of this director's work, if you are an Edgar Wright superfan, I would wager my left shoe that this will probably be towards the bottom of your list of his movies. This is a shockingly studio-safe production, it feels like. It doesn't really inject any of the creative personality that his films are known for. It really feels like more of a paycheck than a passion, which, all I'm saying right here, probably doesn't matter if you don't really care who the director is. Like, if you're not the biggest Edgar Wright enthusiast with dick in hand for every single thing that he slaps his name on, it probably won't matter to you because you're not going to be holding it to this higher standard of what his previous films have had. And I think that's totally fine. But I think pretty much anyone that watches this will walk away being like, oh, that was an enjoyable action flick, but nothing beyond that. So this film is not at all related to the 80s Arnold movie, which I haven't seen in a long time, but when I was a kid, I remember really liking that movie, and this one is very different, and I think that's probably a good thing. As I understand it, this borrows more from the Stephen King novel that it's based on, which maybe fans of the original works will appreciate, but I just think that by incorporating a lot of these elements that I imagine were present in the book, it leads to a little bit of bloat in this film where it starts to kind of have these pacing issues where it kind of just wants to like stumble through scenes to get to like a bigger moment without like building a real connection to characters. Like, it feels like it was more focused on getting things from the book onto the big screen without really making it flow super well. And to kind of elaborate further on what I mean by that, a lot of Ben Richards' survival in The Running Man is kind of out of his own hands, where he just happens to luckily run into someone that is far better equipped to win this game for him and is able to kind of like piggyback off of their ideas for survival and kind of just go along with their plan, which I imagine in the book is probably not exactly how it plays out, but in the film here, it just feels like a very convenient plot armor for him, where he just happens to run into these guardian angels that literally sacrificed their lives in order for him to win the Running Man. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but this is what I'm saying, where it feels like it has these issues where it gives you this action, and then it wants to give you the next part with the action where it's like a couple days further, but in order to do that, you have to meet this character quickly, like in an alley that gets you to that point, and you don't spend a lot of time with that character, and then you get to the next action scene, and then you have to meet another character because that's going to get him a couple more days into the future for the next action thing, and if that character dies, you don't really care because you don't fucking know anything about that character. It just feels a little wacky when it comes to its pacing in that regard, which makes it feel a little underwhelming when a lot of the times Ben Richards isn't the one who's like really beating the network. So I've kind of already dove into some complaints, but like I said, I think it is a fun action movie, and I think the entire premise is very fun. So it's set in a world where barbarism is entertainment now with this thing called the Running Man, where you have this team of 3 that gets chosen, and then they use basically AI or whatever technology they have in that universe to fake all of these videos and stuff to paint them as horrible, terrible people, so that way all the world roots against them and wants them to die. And the objective of the game is to survive while they're being hunted by their fellow civilians that hate these people because they're led to believe that they're scum of the earth, truly irredeemable garbage, and they're also being hunted by hunters who are professional killers. And again, the goal is just to survive. If they survive, they get $1 billion. They basically get set for life. And the objective is to last a month for our main character, Ben Richards. We get a little of his backstory. He and his wife have a daughter who's sick, but because Ben tried to be a good person and report like some injustices in his business, He's been blacklisted across every job imaginable because the network that owns the Running Man owns the entire country. So he can't get a job and he can't pay for the medicine for his daughter that would save her life. It's the flu, basically. And he can't even pay for that because he can't get a job. It just leads to him signing up for the Running Man in order to go through this death gauntlet. And the movie is very on the nose about its message with all the propaganda and how it like alters all the videos to make people hate each other, and so that way it like ignites this fire so they want to kill Ben and the other two people that are chosen with him. And it's like a very fun world that it builds here, but I just don't think it explores it overly well, and it doesn't do a good job of like balancing humor with seriousness. This feels like a movie, and I imagine in the book too, that needed to be more serious. Like, the wackiness in Arnold's 80s film, I think, fits in that context of The Running Man, which is drastically different from this one. Like, some of the campiness in Arnold's, I don't think should have been tried to, emulate in this 2025 one. It just feels like a tonal, like, clash there. It feels like you need to buy into the seriousness of everything happening in that world, but then that's undercut with every character Ben meets, and even Ben himself, joking pretty frequently. Like, I wouldn't say it's like MCU levels of quips and quirkiness. There were just a few times where it felt really out of place for that. Like, it didn't do a good job of weaving that in there in a way that didn't feel jarring, especially because the humor wasn't really landing in my eyes. Like, I don't think many of the jokes were knocking it out of the park, we'll say. Like, I don't think it was worth sacrificing some of the seriousness that I think probably should be there to make you really care and buy into it for the sake of like a quick line or two that's a silliness. But it's not the biggest deal in the world because the movie really relies on two key factors. Its action sequences, which I do think are good. I think they are filmed well. I think they are really exciting action moments in this movie, and there is a lot of them. And two, Glenn Powell as the main character, Ben Richards. Glenn Powell does a great job. I think he was a really good action movie star here. I think he did a good job of being someone you can root for, and also being a psychopath that does have like the natural, X factor to make him realistically have a chance of winning this game against all of these experienced killers and just literally every stranger on the street. So he does a good job of being like a dad that you want to see win and get back to his family, as well as like this psycho that you're really excited to see kill some hunters. I think it was very good performance from Glenn Powell here. So overall, I did enjoy the movie. I think it is an entertaining action film. No, it's not the strongest action movie or anything like that. And yes, admittedly, it is one of Edgar Wright's weaker films. But I still was entertained. So yeah, that's really about it. See ya.